Soul Simmers, are you curious about what to expect with the new Sims 4 For Rent expansion pack? Are you wondering what comes with this pack besides apartments? Well, today I'm gonna talk about the Sims 4 For Rent developer gameplay walkthrough that we got on December 1st. I got my notes here of all the things that I want to talk about, so let's go in order of the agenda that they set. CAS, build by, gameplay. And let's get started with Create a Sim. Okay, so the main takeaway about the CAS that comes with this pack is that the gurus were trying to tell us that this is going to be a blend of modern Southeast Asian style and traditional Southeast Asian style. So there should be some things that feel representative for the Southeast Asian community, both old school and new school. Another thing that stuck out to me personally is that we're gonna get some cool hairs. There's also going to be a pair of slip-on sneakers that are like quilted that I actually own in real life. So I'm super excited about that. I feel like all my Sims are gonna be wearing those, and I will be making a Sim version of myself very soon in those shoes. Another thing I thought was super cute is that the children's Sims are gonna be getting these shark slippers. That is so adorable. I don't know who thought about that, but that is genius. Another thing that they showed us that I thought was super interesting in the walkthrough is the new aspirations and the new traits that we're going to be getting with this pack. One of the aspirations that I thought was, interesting enough for the pack is the new 5-star property owner aspiration that's coming, where you get to, run through the gameplay as a good landlord. We're also getting new aspirations, which I think we already know at this point, including nosy, generous, but there's going to be an elder specific trait called wise that you can earn in gameplay as well as assigning in CAS. I think one, it's really cool that they gave us an elder specific trait. It indicates to me that maybe we will be getting even more elder specific gameplay moving forward. It's also interesting that they gave us a trait that you can earn in gameplay that's not associated with the Growing Together expansion pack, which is the first time that we've been exposed with like earning traits in gameplay. After that, they moved on to showing us some things in the build by catalog. One of the things that stuck out to me was the new marbles item that's coming for children. I thought it was interesting because it kind of looks like the infant placemat things that they have whenever you put an infant down on the ground. And I don't know if we're getting more of those as well, or if all of the little things that I saw that were supposed to be marbles is just the marbles and not the infant placemats. I'm calling them placemats. I don't know what else to call them. Another thing that they're giving us that I'm really excited about is more curtains with curtain rods specifically separated, as well as this new stone wall item where you can place it on the wall and it basically looks like a stone fence or something, but it's in the wall specifically. I thought that was really cool. They talked about a new base game update that we should be expecting with this pack, where they're gonna give us more colors for appliances that we already have. I think the idea is that the colors will match both the new small appliances that we're getting with the pack, as well as old small appliances that we've already gotten and we already had. So the gurus specifically said, if you want your kitchen to be all lime green appliances, you'll be able to do that now. I love getting new swatches with the base game updates, so I am super excited about this. Something else that I thought was cool personally is that we are getting both functional and decorative water heaters and electrical panels. I love this. I wish they did this all the time. Give us something that works and also something that's just for decoration. I don't always want to have to opt into the gameplay, but sometimes I want the gameplay. So yes, I'm really happy that the Sims team thought about that and they thought enough of us to do that for us. Personally, I'm also super excited for the dingy decals that are coming with this pack. I love being able to make a story of a rundown apartment or a rundown build, and we will be getting more decorative items to make things look like rundown and busted. I really wish actually when we added those items to the game that it made the environmental score go down in gameplay. I feel like that would be so much fun. They showed us how easy it is to make a residential rental lot. All you gotta do is convert a residence to a residential rental, and then you get to click on the rooms and assign them to different units. This is something we already knew about, I think, with the different trailers, specifically the gameplay trailer that came out recently, but it was nice to see it in action and see how simple it was to do it. I still have mixed feelings about all the different clicking or whatnot of the different rooms, but they did show us a cool button where you can click on it and it will reset all of the different rooms that are assigned to specific units. One thing that I thought was super cool though was that we can assign different lot challenges and specific lot traits to each individual unit. So if you want one of your units to be functional off the grid, but then you want another unit to be like super modern or whatever, you are able to do that. I liked how the UI showed us that there are suggested items for each of the residential rentals as well. I love that because it's not saying you have to have a toilet in your unit, but it's saying like, hey, if you want your unit score to be higher, you probably need a toilet and a refrigerator. They also talked about the limit of units for a residential rental. Without the cheat, It's 6. But then they also talked about how there is a cheat that we can make as many units as we want on a residential rental. But they expanded upon that, saying that there is a limit to the number of units that you can have in your save. The limit is 100 units per save. For your entire save game, amongst all of your worlds, you can only have 100 units. Now, they did share a blog post about this. I'll make sure to have that linked in the description below. But in the blog post at the time, it said 99 units was the cap. In the gameplay walkthrough, she said 100. I don't know what's true. All I do know is it's not unlimited units in your entire save. You can have as many units as you want on an individual lot, but it counts toward your 100 unit limit. Another thing that I found cool personally is that you can also assign balconies to individual units, which is really cool as far as the outdoor space is concerned. It did make me wonder, how does it work when you have outdoor areas that aren't enclosed in a room? Are they automatically deemed shared spaces? Will Sims automatically go and use the pool, for instance, if it's not fenced in? I wasn't sure based on the gameplay walkthrough. Also, if you're liking this video so far, please do me the honor of subscribing to my channel, liking this video, and turning on the post notifications so you know when my next video goes up. I'm also planning on possibly going live on this channel playing Sims, so I know you don't want to miss that. Now, on to some of my gameplay notes. One of the things that I took note of that they said is that they increased Sim autonomy to use certain items in the shared spaces. So if you have gym equipment or grills or laundry in your shared spaces, Sims should be more likely to autonomously use these items if it's in a shared space. So that answered a question for me, because I was like, okay, well, will the Sims actually use laundry if I put it there? I am curious though if that means I need to have like a laundry basket in their room, or if having a laundry basket in a shared space means that other tenants will use it. I don't know. I'm still not sure about that yet. But the fact that they tuned the autonomy to allow for Sims to use these things like by themselves, I'm really excited about that. They also talked about a new feature that's coming to a base game update, being able to click on a door and switch households by clicking on the door. I think this is great because it allows us to easily be able to bounce between units, as well as when we're visiting some of our like Sim friends, we should be able to click on the door and switch who we're controlling, you know, for better storytelling. I'm so glad that they're bringing that to the base game. They talked about how all of our rental units will have poor maintenance by default. That was something I found interesting because while we can add certain items to our units to increase the rental unit score rating thing, all of the units will start off with poor maintenance, because I guess in gameplay, we have to go and prove that we will maintain the unit. They also talked about finding tenants for the units that we have. I remember asking when I was reviewing the gameplay trailer, like, where is the pool of tenants even coming from? Well, they answered that in the gameplay walkthrough. They said, one, it's coming from your world. So all the Sims that you have in your world that don't have a specific home, that's where some of the tenants could be coming from. But also they made like 20 to 30 families specifically for this pack that will also show up as options for different tenants. They said that they put, you know, a lot of time in the different personalities of the Sims. So they should be fun, you know, to have around and fun to play with. They also talked a little bit more about the mechanics of evictions, which I know is kind of like a sore subject with the landlord simulator pack of The Sims 4 for rent. They talked about the difference between just and unjust evictions. The idea here is if you have a tenant who's breaking rules and not paying the rent, you will have the option to justly evict the tenant. But if the tenant is otherwise in good standing and you decide you're going to evict them anyway, that would be considered an unjust eviction, and you may have gameplay consequences for this. If you're into collectibles in The Sims 4, they talked about new collectibles that are coming with this pack, like tassels and the marbles. They also went on to talk about a rabbit hole option for your Sims, like a tiger sanctuary. They said that this is because in the Southeast Asian culture, conservationism is really important, so they wanted to make sure that that was represented in the game. The tiger sanctuary is a rabbit hole though, so it's not something you'll actually be able to like interact with live, but it's still an option of activities for you and your Sim. Then they spent some time talking about how it works breaking into different residences. They said that this is not something that's limited to residential rentals, that any residential lot can have a break-in. The only thing though, I wasn't sure if this is a mechanic that is limited to Sims who are, you know, nosy or have like that Snoopy aspiration. I was not clear about that when I was watching the gameplay walkthrough. But after you break into a Sim's house, you can then start snooping around to find secrets on them. So that's like a fun gameplay thing that you could do. They did also say that this break-in is an event. It's a social event that has a time limit. And if you're not out after the time limit is up, there may be gameplay consequences for that as well. Something else I found interesting was when they started talking more about mold and how mold works. And we saw in the gameplay walkthrough that mold is a lot challenge that you can add to any residential lot. The way that mold works has something to do with plumbing and cleanliness, and they made it very clear that this is something you can opt into or opt out of. It is a lot challenge, which means that you don't have to have it turned on. Also through gameplay, they made it clear that it'll take a while before it kills your sim if that's something that you're not into, and that mold will evolve to basically worsen to get to that point. Now, something that looked fun to me when I was watching the walkthrough is the maintenance trouble interaction. Basically, there are these events that are like problems with the unit. And as a landlord, you have the option to hire a cheap contractor, hire an expensive contractor, or like fix the problem yourself. And that looks really fun. They also said if you want maintenance problems on lots that are not residential rentals, you can add them as a lot challenge to your regular residential lots. Those were my key takeaways, the things that I found the most interesting. That was not by far everything they talked about. They showed us food, the small appliances, the world. There's a lot to see if you want to go watch the gameplay walkthrough yourself. But now that I've basically like done a high level recap, I would like to go through and talk about my personal takeaways. Yeah, so I mean, I'm still super excited about this pack. I'm still super excited to build apartments. I've been waiting for this for as long as I've been playing The Sims 4, honestly. So after seeing this gameplay walkthrough, I'm like, yep, still the main thing that I want to do, build apartments, live in apartments, share apartments, download apartments. All of that seems possible. And based on the videos that the EA Creator Network creators have posted online at this point, it seems like that's like functioning as expected. I did see on some of the videos that maybe there were a few glitches, but nothing that was so terrible that the pack shouldn't work as intended. So I'm excited about that. There are a couple of things that I have reservations about. One, the way that occupied units are like notated in the game. I wish that they had maybe darkened the rooms or something so it was clear that that is an occupied unit and not just an empty room. That could just be my personal pet peeve, and maybe when I'm playing the game, it won't be that big of a deal. Another thing I have mixed feelings about is the fact that the maintenance problems is something that's automatically included with residential rentals. I feel like we should be able to opt out of that even if we're on a residential rental. Maybe I just want the actual functionality of living in an apartment, and I don't want the problems that come with living in an apartment, you know? And lastly, let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? The loading screens. The people online are driving me crazy about these loading screens. It's like, have we not been playing the same game for the last 10 years? We already know how this works, people. I have to admit though, that seeing this loading screen situation in action, it's a little awkward, not gonna lie. Mostly because of where the Sims load on the lot. When I was watching the gameplay walkthrough, one of the things I noticed is when the landlord loaded into one of the units, she loaded at the front of the house, far away from where the unit actually was. But then another time when they loaded into the lot, the sim loaded up like right in front of the door where I would have expected her to load in. I think where they load in between the different units is a little awkward. That was awkward to watch in real time. I saw a video online for a proposed way of how the loading screens could work in The Sims, and that actually makes me feel like I wish they worked like that. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Yeah, this video, look at this. What is this? What is this proposed idea of how loading could work? Is that from like Sims 3 or something? I don't remember that. That's how I wish loading screens would work. I feel like that would be much less immersion breaking and people would be fine with loading screens if they were like that. If the Sims team is able to do something like that, that would be super dope. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Did you guys watch the developer walkthrough? What were some of the things that stuck out to you? The big creators already have access to the pack and they've been posting content. So from what you're seeing, what are some of the things that you are most excited about and maybe a little nervous about with the release of the Sims 4 for Rent expansion pack? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel, liking this video, and turning on the post notifications so you know when my next video is up. But that's it for me, folks. Have fun playing The Sims, dag dag!